Now that the season is past the halfway point, the picture is slowly becoming clear. We can start to see which clubs are real title contenders, which teams are fighting for Champions League football, and which clubs are suddenly looking over their shoulder at the relegation zone. And when that happens, one thing always becomes obvious: which positions teams desperately need to strengthen. You have clubs like Arsenal and Manchester City fighting for the title, while Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool are battling for those crucial Champions League spots. And then, of course, there's Tottenham. But in their case, they probably need more than just one signing, because right now they're fighting against relegation. So in this video, we're going to look at one key signing each of these clubs should make if they want to reach their goals this season. And I want to hear your opinion too. Let me know in the comments which players you think these clubs should sign. Let's start at the bottom of the table, and in this case, very much at the bottom. A club that is currently fighting relegation, Tottenham Hotspur. If we look at Tottenham's squad on paper, they should not be anywhere near the relegation zone. There is far too much quality in that team. Of course, injuries have played a role this season, but even when key players were available, the performances have often been inconsistent. So the real question becomes, where exactly is Tottenham struggling the most? In my opinion, the biggest issue right now is the midfield. They lack a player who can truly control the tempo of a game, someone who can slow things down when needed, speed things up when there's space, and most importantly, someone who can move the ball forward and connect defense with attack. Right now, Tottenham have energetic midfielders, but they're missing that true playmaker, the type of player who dictates the game. But because of Tottenham's current position in the table, attracting world-class superstars might be difficult. So they will probably need to look at talented players who are ready to take the next step. Players like Georgiy Sudakov from Benfica, who is incredibly creative and comfortable carrying the ball forward. Another interesting option is Romano Schmid from Werder Bremen, a technically gifted midfielder who can break defensive lines with his passing. And then there's Joey Veerman from PSV, one of the best deep-lying playmakers in Europe when it comes to progressive passing and vision. These are the kind of players who could bring creativity and control to Tottenham's midfield. But what do you think? Who should Tottenham sign to fix their midfield problems? Next up, currently sitting 5th in the table, Chelsea. Chelsea's season has been complicated. At times, they look like a team that could compete with the very best in the league. But then in the next match, they suddenly look chaotic and undisciplined. One big problem this season has been the number of red cards they've picked up, which often completely changes the game. And when you look at Chelsea's squad, one thing becomes very clear. They have a lot of talent, but they lack experience and leadership. In the past, Chelsea had defensive leaders like Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, and of course the legendary John Terry. Those were players who organized the defense, controlled the back line, and kept the team calm in difficult moments. Right now, Chelsea have many talented defenders, but not necessarily that strong vocal leader at the back. That's why I think Chelsea should sign an experienced center back who can lead the team from the back. One option could be Christian Romero from Tottenham, a natural leader, aggressive defender, and someone who has already proven himself in the Premier League. Although, he might not completely solve the red card problem. Another interesting option is José María Giménez from Atletico Madrid, a defender with years of experience at the highest level and someone who understands defensive organization. And then there's Alessio Romagnoli, an Italian defender who built his reputation in Serie A, the league famous for producing some of the best defenders in football history. So the question is, which defender should Chelsea sign? Or do you think they should strengthen a completely different position? Next, we move on to the club that spent massive amounts of money last year after becoming champions, Liverpool. Liverpool already have a very strong squad, and with this team, they should realistically be competing for the title again. But this season has been inconsistent. Some of the new signings are still adapting, and in certain matches, Liverpool have struggled to create enough danger in the final third. And when you look at the attack, there's one position that could potentially be improved: the left wing. Right now, Cody Gakpo often plays there, but his performances have been mixed, and some Liverpool fans are starting to question whether he's the right long-term option. That's why I think Liverpool should consider signing a world-class winger, someone who can consistently deliver goals and assist in big matches. Imagine a player like Rodrygo from Real Madrid, incredibly fast, technically gifted, and used to playing in the biggest games. Or Rafael Leão from AC Milan, a powerful and explosive winger who can change a game with one moment of individual brilliance. Another fantastic option would be Nico Williams from Athletic Club, one of the most exciting young wingers in Europe right now. All three of these players have proven themselves at the highest level and have already performed in big competitions. A new elite winger could be exactly what Liverpool need to add unpredictability and attacking firepower. But if you were Liverpool, who would you sign? Next, we move to a club that suddenly looks very different compared to the beginning of the season, Manchester United. Since the departure of their manager earlier in the season, something has changed inside the club. The team looks more energetic, more organized, and suddenly they are serious contenders for a Champions League spot. At the start of the season, it looked like another disappointing mid-table finish was coming. But now, the momentum is completely different. However, if United want to keep improving, they still need reinforcements. And after the departure of Casemiro, one position clearly stands out as the biggest priority: the defensive midfield role, the number 6. United need a player who can protect the defense, win duels, and control the midfield in big games. And importantly, they need someone who can perform immediately. Players like Sandro Tonali from Newcastle, a complete midfielder with defensive intelligence and great passing. Or Bruno Guimarães, also from Newcastle, who combines defensive work with creativity and leadership. And another exciting option is Carlos Baleba from Brighton, one of the most promising young defensive midfielders in the Premier League. All three players already have Premier League experience and have shown over multiple seasons that they belong among the best midfielders in the league. So, if you were Manchester United, which one would you sign? And what other positions do you think United still need to strengthen? Now we move to the city rivals, and one of the main title contenders, Manchester City. For the last 15 years, Manchester City have been one of the most dominant teams in English football. And once again this season, they are right there in the title race. But interestingly, this year, the results haven't always been as convincing as we're used to seeing from City, especially defensively. City have one of the best attacks in the world and a midfield full of world-class players. But defensively, they've been conceding more goals than usual. Even after bringing in players like Marc Guéhi and Gianluigi Donnarumma, the backline still looks vulnerable at times. And that's surprising considering they already have defenders like Ruben Dias, John Stones, Nathan Ake, Joško Gvardiol, and Kusanov. But football constantly evolves, and sometimes even great teams need a new leader in defense. That's why I think Manchester City could benefit from signing another world-class center-back, someone who is not only strong defensively but also extremely comfortable on the ball. Players like Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan, who is one of the best ball-playing defenders in the world, or Willian Pacho from Paris Saint-Germain, a powerful and intelligent defender. And another option could be Nico Schlotterbeck from Borussia Dortmund, who combines aggression with excellent passing ability. A defender like that could bring balance back to City's defense and maybe help them win another title. But what do you think? Would you sign one of these players or someone else? And finally, we arrive at the team currently leading the Premier League and looking like they might win their first Premier League title since 2004, Arsenal. Arsenal have built an incredible squad over the last few years. The team is deep, balanced, and full of quality players. On almost every position, they have two strong options. That's why they're able to compete in multiple competitions at the same time. But if there's one thing Arsenal might still be missing, it's a true global superstar, a player who can decide a game on his own when the team is struggling. And there is one position where that superstar could fit perfectly: the left wing. Leandro Trossard has been very good, but imagine adding a world-class attacker there. Players like Kvicha Kvaratskhelia from Paris Saint-Germain, one of the most creative dribblers in world football. Or Vinícius Jr. from Real Madrid, one of the most dangerous attackers on the planet. Another exciting option could be Bradley Barcola from Paris Saint-Germain, an incredibly talented and explosive winger. Signing a player like that would require Arsenal to spend huge money, but in return, they would get a true game-changing superstar. So tell me, which winger would you sign if you were Arsenal? These are the positions I think each of these clubs should strengthen. But now I want to hear your opinion. Which players would you sign for these clubs? Which positions do you think they still need to improve? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.